Tuesday morning class with Professor Fabio. Today we learned from the bottom of closed guard, like a lapel wrap, and then going to an arm bar, and then second move was going for a choke, and then the third move was rolling, doing a pendulum sweep from that choke position. So what's interesting is that the arm bar is to the opposite side of the wrap. So you wrap your opponent's lapel around his arm to immobilize it, so it allows you to control him better. And then you can go for the arm bar by swinging to the opposite side. And then the choke was from the same side as the arm wrap. So it's good because, you know, if he's guarding against one way, then you can go the other way. If he's guarding that way, you can go the first way. And then the third one was the pendulum sweep. So if for some reason you can't get the choke, you use the leverage from the choke into the ability to sweep him, to roll over so that you're on top and he's on the bottom. And so this also is pretty interesting because your opponent's G is actually a tool for you to use, right? And your own G is a tool for your opponent to use, right? There's, you can grip it. You can actually use the G to control your opponent. You can immobilize his arms. You can even choke them with it. And the same goes with the belt, right? You can grab the belt and use that to against your opponent. So I guess I'll go over some of the positions. I said before that we were working from closed guard. So when someone says guard in jiu-jitsu, it means that your legs are between you and your opponent. So closed guard is basically when your opponent is kneeling or standing and your legs are around him. So I've heard it said that there's like 6 positions. So there's closed guard, open guard, side control, knee mount, full mount, and back control. So open guard, closed guard. Open guard is when your opponent's standing and then not really touching each other, or maybe your feet on his hips or his shins or something like that, but there's kind of free range of movement. Closed guard is when the bottom player's legs are locked around the opponent's body. So those are sort of 2, distance sort of positions. The next 2 are like side control and knee on belly, or knee mount. So knee on belly is basically what it sounds like. One guy is on his back, and the other one is has one knee on the belly and the other knee on the ground, sort of half astride them. And then side control is when one player is on the ground, the other player is chest to chest to them. And then full mount looks like closed guard, except the top player is now completely on top of the opponent. So the top player's legs are above the opponent's hips. And that might sound like it's pretty similar, but it's actually much more advantageous for you to be in mount than closed guard. The opponent's legs can be like a huge barrier. So that's full mount, and then back mount is when you are your chest is to your opponent's back. And then there's all sorts of variations in there. So for example, closed guard, between closed guard and side control is something called half guard, where you have your legs are basically interwoven with your opponent. So it's like their left leg, your right leg, their right leg, your left leg. Then there's all sorts of variations on the open guard, where people's feet are, where your grips are, where, yeah, like depending on your feet are outside or inside or crossed like an X or hooking under. Yeah, there's all sorts of different open guard positions. So the flow of jiu-jitsu is going from one position to another. So full mount and back mount are the most advantageous. Side control, knee on belly are very advantageous to the top person. Those four, the top person is the most advantageous. And then closed guard and open guard are considered to be more neutral, or slightly more than just to the top player. But the bottom player is not as disadvantaged as they are in the full mount, for example. So what you want to do is you want to move from the less advantageous position to a more advantageous position. So, for example, going from bottom of closed guard to sweeping to top of side control to move into mount and then doing a submission. And it's possible to shortcut that, right? So you could technically submit someone from the bottom of closed guard, but generally, if you jump positions, you're leaving an opening for your opponent to do something to you. So the safest way is to slowly go through and progress through the positions, and then finally submit your opponent. So there's a saying called position before submission, and meaning exactly that, right? And then another term is kizushi, which is, I think that's directly from the Japanese from judo, meaning to off balance your opponent. So one way of moving from one position to another is to off balance them. Actually, no, it's not one way. That is how you do it. The more off balance your opponent is, the easier it is to advance the position. So, I mean, if if you're like, like 10 times stronger than your opponent, you don't need to off balance them, or you can off balance them using your pure strength. But if you're weaker than your opponent, the only way you will be able to move them around is if they're off balance. So jiu-jitsu is figuring out ways to off balance your opponent and then moving them into that direction of weakness so you can take advantage of them.